There's a lot of pressure too. It's a lot of times millions of people when you go in an audience and who knows, like 20,000 there live, millions watching at home, a lot of money on the line. The amount of pressure. People have no clue like what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and just like the media, and then especially it's fight week, you're cutting weight. Bro, I don't want to have this camera in my face 24/7, and it's you have to just also promote the fight, right? Because you want people to watch, and then there's just so much that goes into it that people don't understand it, but they just expect you just to go with it, and then you see fighters where it does break them, right? The mental aspect of it does break it. We saw Anthony Smith yesterday crying, right? I mean, he lost his coach. And people don't understand how it is to have that in your head. When you have something else in your head, but you have a killer in front of you really trying to kill you, it's like, how could you fight like that?
Yeah, I had my dad die 2 weeks before a fight, and he was my manager. Wow. We were really close, and I should have pulled out of the fight, but like, you know how it is. I'm just like, I had to go forwards with it, but I was just a fucking mess. Went out there and then got knocked out right away because I was just like, and my mind was just, I was actually doing okay in the back. And then I started walking out, and the fucking marketer started playing my dad on the fucking camera and shit. And I'm just like, I was like, fine, walking out, and then that goes on there, and I started getting fucking all fucked up again. And it's just like, why the fuck did you put this video on when fucking going out there? And it's like, I get they're trying to like show, he's close to his dad, but he just fucked me up. So I'm walking out, went out there, could fucking just a mess in the cage, got fucking kneed in the face. It's just like,
that's
it's terrible.
Yeah, like it could be anything. Anything could switch. Like, I fought Luke twice. The first time I fought him, he knocked me out. So the second time I fought him, I'm waiting there in the tunnel, and then they put the video of the knockout up there, and I'm just like, why are you guys posting before I walk out? Like, what do you got? It's just, even when I'm walking out, I see somebody in the audience, or I see somebody just like randomly, anything could just mess up your mind.
Change and throw your head off. It's weird. You want to get in that like flow state, but it's not as easy to do. There's been a few times you walk out, you're feeling a little weird.
Especially with the audience. It was way different fighting in the Apex because there's nobody in there.
Yeah, it's weird. There's no crowd throws you off. Like when I fought in Costa Rica, it was on the beach, this Bodog thing. It's like 15 fighters on the thing. I actually kind of liked it because it felt like a sparring session, but then you have to make sure you get your energy up, not like a sparring session. And then the most extreme when I fought at GSP is like 60,000 people. You walk out and I go, whoa. Yeah. You don't realize like how much bigger that is than like the 20,000 seat arenas.
Yeah. And they're all freaking cheering for him. And
exactly. But I walk out and I go, well, GSP's going to have to deal with this too. For a second I started to freak out and I go, well, GSP's going to have to deal with this crowd too. So I got to go out there calm and get this on.
Yeah, it's wild. How was did you have that like feeling it was like, I'm fighting GSP? Or was it one so at that moment? But because you were at the top of that moment too, but did he have that aura about him?
He did, but I was in a really good win streak at that point. I think maybe the first round or two, I over-respect him a little bit because I won the last two, but then he won the first three, so I didn't get confidence till like, I think he started thinking like, I can beat this fucker. I better step it up and started going after him. But then it was just like a little too late. He's good though, man. He's hard to hit, hard to take down. He's a damn good fighter. That's not easy to beat.
That's always the funny part, right? Because you put like you said, you in your mind and your imagination, you're like, he's gonna do this, this, and this, and then afterwards you're like, dang, I should have did it more. I could have did more.
Yeah, because I don't think I fought bad. I don't think I fought bad. I just think maybe a few small changes could have changed it up, and that's a life-changing fight. That's
yeah, and that's the wild thing. That's also, it's like for me, my first fight when I fought a name, it was Damian Maia. So it's kind of like starstruck where
Savage,
you're like, dang, I'm fighting Damian Maia. Good. And then afterward, like you said, it's like, I could have did.
And you handled him pretty good, right?
But
you beat him pretty bad. I was like, wow. That's when I realized, like, wow, this guy's good.
And that was one of mine where I was like, all right, now I belong with these guys. Because I didn't fight no ranked guy before that. So he was like the first ranked guy to fight. And then it was like, all right, I belong up there with these top guys. He fought for the title twice. And then it was Wonder Boy was another one where I was like, oh crap, I'm going against Wonder Boy, and it's like the nicest guy in the world.
Those are two opposite fights, Wonder Boy and him, because Wonder Boy has like some of the best footwork, best stand-up, hardest guy to touch, and Maia has like the best grappling.
Yeah, and that's why I said for me, I think that's what helped me with my styles, because Maia, I'm not going to grapple or wrestle with Maia. I'm going to strike with him, and then Wonder Boy, I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to shoot on him right away. So those fights just made me make those adaptations.
Yeah, when I fought Maia, we were both trying to grapple. I'm like, I was a big underdog. That fight pissed me off too. I'm like, I was pissed off that I was an underdog. So I'm like, no, I got to beat this guy.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It gives you that good chip.
Like, why are they making me an underdog? That really pissed me off.
Yeah, I never want to be that guy where it's like, where you look at it and it's, man, he's a 10-1 favorite right here. I was like, nah.
I hate it when you look at it like I'm a 4-1 favorite or something. I'm like, oh shit, this sucks. So much pressure now.
Yeah. Did you feel pressure coming from a different like organization where you're like, obviously you're one of those that everybody was anticipating, like huge expectations for you coming from the.
Felt a little pressure, but a lot of hype. The first fight was tough because I moved up to 85s for a few fights because Nick Diaz was fighting at 170s and we're friends. So I moved up to 85s in Strikeforce. Plus they had better fights. Like Lawler was up there, Henderson. So I had to cut back down to 70s and I put some weight on. So the first fight in the UFC was brutal. The weight cut, I had to cut like 25 pounds last week. So I still won the fight, but I was a little gassed versus Marvin Kampman.
Yeah.
Then GSP. But it's like, you definitely feel a little pressure in your expectations. UFC is different, but Strikeforce at the time was massive. So it was like, that was the only show that was like close to, unfortunately, nothing like Bellator hasn't been, or Bell for PFL haven't been able to catch that same hype. I don't know why. But Strikeforce actually had the hype for a minute.
Yeah, I just don't think they don't promote enough, right? There'll be weeks where I'm like, wait, they're fighting this week? There's a PFL fight and the same day as this, and it's like, I feel like they're trying, but they need that one star that's going to go out there. They haven't been able
to build their own stars. And Strikeforce was like actually building stars, and they were bringing over they signed Fedor.
Yeah,
they stole Henderson from the UFC. I think the UFC bought him because they wanted to kill him.
Yeah, no,
kind of brutal. Which they actually just lost that. There was a lawsuit against the UFC for I don't know exactly what it was, for I guess a trust thing.
Yeah.
I guess they lost it. So I guess a lot of fighters in my generation are about to get paid out, supposedly. We'll see if the money actually comes. But I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that, but I guess we won a bunch of money. They got like $400 million or something.
Oh, wow.
Between the...
Did they tell you how much you'll get? Or
I think they said like, I don't know, $500,000 or something. But whatever, it's not money I'm expecting. So can't really say... well, who knows?
Bitcoin going up.
So it's nice if you get money you're not expecting.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So I didn't expect that lawsuit was going to win. I was surprised when someone told me it did. So.
Yeah, I felt like it would have gone longer, or just. I'm sure it went. It was already how many years that it was going on for?
A year or two. Yeah. So fighters that don't know, if they fought between, I think it's 2010 and 17 or 19, they're entitled for some money. So they got to figure out how to contact the guy, and I can't remember the number right now, but they can get paid out on that.
Yeah,
if they don't step up, I think they just give the money to me. So maybe I shouldn't be telling these guys to get the extra money. I think gets split between the other guys.
Really? Oh, and I wonder, because there's so many guys, right, that make it to the UFC. They get that one fight, they lose or something, and then they're cut or they're gone. Those guys end up getting a check for that.
I think if you did one fight, I think everyone that's been in the UFC in those years are going to get
just any fight.
It's based off of how many fights you had and percentage of your purses. So guys are going to get paid different amounts.
Okay. So when you were coming up, how hard was it to get signed by an organization? Because for me, you had to be undefeated to even get a look from the UFC. You had to have a title from somebody else to even get talked about in the UFC. Were you only want to be UFC, or were you Strikeforce is good?
UFC actually offered to sign a bunch of times, but the money was double, triple in Strikeforce.
Oh.
But it was kind of frustrating because everyone's like, oh, you think you'll ever make it to the UFC? And I was turning down contracts all the time, but it's I was making triple the money.
Yeah.
So eventually I took the pay cut and went to the UFC because I wanted to fight GSP. But I guess the Strikeforce was paying better, which is why UFC bought them to kill him. That's why people like Dan Henderson were leaving. That's why people like Fedor were going to the Strikeforce.
Yeah.
So it sucks to have to take a pay cut to go to the premier organization.
Yeah.
But back in that time period, Lorenzo sometimes would throw some nice bonuses around, and he took care of me after the GSP fight, which was nice.
Yeah, it's so funny that obviously for some of the casual fans, they only see UFC. My coach Lewis Taylor, he won the middleweight title for PFL, won $1 million. And people just don't even, they don't even acknowledge it. It's he's yeah, I was a middleweight champion for PFL. But did you fight UFC? And it's no, he made $1 million. And there's many guys that haven't even touched that money in the UFC. But he made that for them. And that's the thing that's going to, if PFL does go under, it's going to suck because there's a lot of guys that's huge for them, right? They get the opportunity to fight for $1 million. These guys that won't even, it'll be even hard to get signed by anybody else, but they have their chance every year, no matter what. And if they're in the season, they get a chance to fight for that $1 million. So if they just perform, it's crazy. What's that other kid, the 205-pound champion from there?
I remember who they got there.
Impa Kasangana. He was in the UFC at 170. He had that viral. He got knocked out by Buckley, and then he got cut after a couple more losses. Then he goes to PFL at 205 and wins $1 million.
It was crazy. A lot of guys, and even I think everyone in the tournament's getting at least $50,000 and stuff. So a lot of the mid-level guys in PFL are making more than mid-level guys in the UFC. Now the champs in the UFC are usually the guys making more money. Plus, there's a lot of upside to being a champ in other ways with fame.
Yeah.
So if you're the champ, it's a lot better to be in the UFC. But if you're a mid-level guy, it might be better to be in these other shows.
Yeah.
And that situation I was in for a while. I was making better money in other shows. And it was fighting good, I was fighting good opponents, like Lawler's, the Hendersons. The Strikeforce was signing great people at that time.
Yeah.
And they were like on CBS and stuff. So at that time, they actually had massive exposure as well.
Yeah, but people just assume, right, that you're not
respect it the same. They're like,
it's the B leagues.
Yeah, but it's still annoying. Like, you think you can get to the UFC? And it's like, so finally, like, I guess I'll go to the UFC. Well, plus, I really wanted to fight GSP because he's like, in my opinion, the greatest welterweight of all time. So I wanted to get my shot at it.
Test yourself at that.
So it's like, that's you. Hopefully, I saw you said you're on track and you want to be that guy. And you have a damn good resume, man. A couple more big wins. It's going to start hard to deny it.